Yes, good evening, students. Okay, we were discussing about equivalence class partitioning technique for generation of test cases using the same technique, that is equivalence class partitioning. So far, we have studied unidimensional partitioning and multidimensional partitioning. Okay, in unidimensional partitioning, we were considering single individual input variable at a time at any given instance of time. Then we used to divide or partition the input domain for creation of classes. Okay, and the assumption made was that the items which I am including in the class, okay, if I'm trying to execute the program for set of values in the class, then program has to behave exactly same for all the included items in the particular class. And the one more assumption was that the classes so formed should be destroyed. There should be no common area between any two classes or any two subdomains. Okay, that was the assumption made with respect to equivalence class partitioning, and we had gone through the unidimensional partitioning, wherein I was considering one input variable at a time, and I was dividing the input domain into various classes. Okay, under unidimensional partitioning, the example can be they will give you the problem statement in such a way that mostly one or two variables x and y, any two variables they will give you, and they will define you the range, and you are supposed to form the equivalence classes by applying unidimensional partitioning technique. After that, okay, we have gone through multidimensional partitioning as well, wherein the first step in multidimensional partitioning is always apply unidimensional partitioning. Means consider one variable at a time and try to generate equivalence classes. After that, once you have generated the equivalence classes, what you're supposed to do is you have to combine the equivalence classes so formed. Okay, and we had seen one example wherein the input variables were two. By applying unidimensional partitioning, I was getting around six equivalence classes. If I try to combine the equivalence classes in multidimensional partitioning, that is cross product of generated classes in the unidimensional partitioning, I was getting around nine equivalence classes in multidimensional partitioning. Okay, multidimensional partitioning, you have to remember it is cross product of two variables so generated equivalence classes with respect to both the variables. I have to perform cross product. And how we were defining, you have already seen it. How we have to write the equivalence classes whenever I perform the cross product, you have already seen it. And the final solution can be for this whenever we say apply multidimensional partitioning, you are supposed to show the values in graphical representation. Okay, mention four quadrants and represent all the equivalence classes by naming them from E1. E1 represent equivalence class number 1, so on. With respect to previous example, it was up to E9, E1 to E9. Okay, we have studied that much. Okay, after that we had taken up one case study, that is boiler control software. Okay, wherein we were trying to generate the equivalence classes for the software which is controlling the operation of a boiler. Okay, just to brief you about the initial requirement, initial feature of that boiler control software. Okay, let me just explain you once again. Okay, the boiler control software, it is providing you many options. Okay, one of the options can be C for controlling the operation of a software, wherein human operator is supposed to give three commands. Human operator is supposed to give you three commands. Okay, after that he can change the boiler temperature, that is temp, that, and one more option can be he can shut down the operation. He can shut down the operation. And third can be canceling the request. Okay, these are three options basically we are dealing with. After that, okay, the command, okay, when once we are telling that we can change the boiler temperature. In order to change the boiler temperature, I have to give certain range. Within this range only you are supposed to change. That's what they are telling you. The requirement for changing the temperature, okay, they are providing you the amount by which the temperature has to be changed. That is in the increments of 5 and that too in the range from -10 to 10. Okay, and they're telling you to do not consider 0 whenever you get in the range. That is -10, first value, permissible value. Plus in the increment of 5 means what? -10 plus 5. That will become -5. So I have two values in the set now, permissible value -10, -5. -5, again you add plus 5. It becomes 0, which is not permissible as per the requirement. Okay, 0 is not allowed. So 0 plus 5, 5 is allowed. Okay, 5 plus 5, 10. So the set of permissible values for temperature is -10, -5, 5 and 10. Four values I'll be getting. Then select the option, wait, select the option here. Select the option, I am with respect to this point now. Select the option C, okay. It forces the boiler control software to examine certain environment variables like V and F. Okay, and if it is set to GUI, graphical user interface, then operator is asked to enter the command via graphical user interface only. Okay, which all are three commands we are dealing with? These three are the commands we are dealing with. Okay, that is temperature, one is temperature and shutting down the system, and one more is cancelling. Okay, so this is about the V, environment variable V. Okay, after that I have something called another environment variable called F, that is basically representing you the file name. Okay, if we set to file, then it has to get the command from the command line. Okay, whenever if the value of V is set to F, that means, okay, you are not entering the commands via GUI. Instead, you are entering the command via command line. Okay, and this is the graphical representation of the boiler control software. Okay, you have environment variables called V and F. V, the permissible values for V is GUI and the file. If it is set to file, then you are entering the commands via command line itself. Then after that, this is with respect to GUI, that is V. V value can be GUI or either file. And this is the control software and the data file. Then the permissible commands that I am supposed to enter, temp, shut and cancel. There is one more input, that is temp ch in the increment of 5, the amount they have mentioned, wherein I am not considering 0. The permissible values are from -10, -5, 5, 10. That's it. After that, okay, and they are telling you about the permissible values here. Okay, then see the command file. Okay, the command file will be containing, whenever V value is set to file, it can read from the command line or it can read from the file. Okay, that is any one of the three commands it may contain, and it will be it will be fetching the command from the file and it will be executing it. Okay, so V and F are basically environment variables here. Okay, and as we have already seen, the systematic procedure for equivalence class partitioning, there were four steps, namely first one, identification of the input domain. Second one was equivalence classing. Third one was combining the equivalence classes. Fourth one, you just identify the infeasible classes and you just eliminate the infeasible classes. These were the four steps with respect to equivalence class partitioning. Those four steps we are applying over here. Okay. First step is identification of the input domain. In order to identify the input domain, what is your job? Your job is to identify the input variables, and you have to come up with the kind of the input variables you are using and the data type of the specified input variables and the permissible values for those input variables in the form of tabular format. Okay, I have in my boiler control software basically four input variables, that is V, which is environment variable and which is of the type enumerated because it can assume two values, distinct values, that is it can read the values from the file or it can also read the values from GUI. And one more input variable is f, which is also environment variable, and it is basically telling you the name of the file from which the commands can be read. Okay, that's why the data type of the file is string here. And what is the value? Any file name. Okay, and have one more thing called command, which can assume three values, that is cancel, shut, and temp. Okay, so that's why the kind is input. It can be either given via graphical user interface or file. And the type of this command can be enumerated. Enumerated. Then I have something called tempch. Okay. The kind is again here. It is an input variable which can be given via GUI or the file. Okay. After that, I have something called the data type of this. It is again enumerated because it is assuming four values: -10, -5, 5, 10. Why I am taking this? Because the amount by which I can increase the temperature as specified by the requirement is 5 degree Fahrenheit. That's why -10 plus 5 is -5, and they're telling us to not to consider 0. That's why I'm not including 0 in the set, and I'm proceeding with 5 and 10. After that, the second step is about equivalence classes. I have to come up with the equivalence classes. Here I have made the equivalence classes with respect to each input variable. That is with respect to V. What all input variables you have considered in the previous step, those will appear again here, variable input variables. And you have to come up with the equivalence classes, that is set subdomains you have to come up with. See how I'm getting these values. I'm getting these values by referring to the previous table only. If I check out for V, what are the permissible values for V? That is either file or GUI. Okay, that's why it can assume the value either GUI, file, and they are set again. These are not individual values because I am creating the subdomain. Subdomain means subsets of the permissible values. So file will form one subset here. GUI will form one subset, and it can also be undefined also. Okay, you have to take care of such things also. So we can actually assume three values. One is GUI, file, and undefined. Okay, and together I'm putting in one set. That's why outside I have one more flower bracket. Okay, after that I have something called F, which basically representing the file name. File name can be valid and invalid. That is, I can give the file name which is existing, or user can give the file name which is not present in the file system. That's why they are considering two classes, two subdomains, that is F valid, F invalid. Okay, and together I am representing within one set. Okay, after that I have something called command. The permissible values for command are 3. Okay, apart from these 3 values also, some user can enter some invalid things. Okay, so they are including one more value such as C invalid or command invalid. And together all these 4, I'm representing all these 4 in one set. All these are sets only. If I'm representing in flower bracket, it means they are set only. Okay, and for temperature CH, okay, either I can enter any one of the values from this permissible value, or I can enter some invalid value. That's why in general they have taken T valid and T invalid. Okay, then third step was about combining the equivalence class. How do I combine the equivalence class? Okay, I have to perform multi-dimensional partitioning. Okay, multi-dimensional partitioning I'm supposed to perform. Okay, this is how, if I combine all the values here, what is the total number of classes that I'm generating if I apply all the three things here. So for this, what I'm supposed to do is, it is the cross product of V, F, command, tempch. Okay, tempch basically it is having 5 values, means 4 in T valid, one is T invalid. So it is 5. Okay, 5 into 4, 20. 20 into 2, 40. 40 into 3 values, again 120 classes I will be generating via multi-dimensional partitioning. That is, I am talking with respect to this, combining the equivalence class, the third step in the procedure. Okay, so how I'm supposed to get here? I'm supposed to make or perform the cross product of these four variables. That is, three values are here, so 3. Two values are here, into 2, 6. Okay, so 4 values are here. Okay, 6 fours are 24. Okay, here there are 5 values. How 5 values? In T valid, I can give 4 permissible values and one more T invalid. So totally 5 values are there in TempCH. 24 into 5. How many? 120 equivalence classes will be generated if I go for multi-dimensional partitioning. That is, at third one, combining the equivalence classes, I'll be getting round about 120 classes. Okay, and the last one is about last step in equivalence class partitioning is discard the infeasible equivalence classes. What do you mean by infeasible in equivalence class? See, there will be certain scenario wherein it so happens that you will not be in a position to generate certain inputs to the system. Okay, such classes, such combination of the input you cannot generate only whenever you want to test the software. Okay, ultimately what I am doing by generating the classes here by applying the equivalence class partitioning technique, I am generating the test cases for my software. Okay, so if I'm not in a position to generate certain input combination of the values, if I go for equivalence class, okay, then such equivalence classes are not useful for me. Such equivalence classes I have to discard, I have to eliminate. Okay, such combination I have to eliminate from the equivalence classes so generated in the previous step. So totally there were 120 generated equivalence classes. You have to write all 120, and in that if you come across any combination of the input variable which is not you cannot generate such a combination, then such combination of the input variable should be removed, should be eliminated from the equivalence classes. You have to take out such combination. One example I have taken over here. Suppose the combination of the input variable goes like this. Okay, that is they have entered. Okay, and the file. Okay, command given is cancel, shut, and invalid. Okay, and they have not given temperature, but here they are giving you the values. Are you able to produce such a combination without giving the option temp? Here if you observe clearly, I hope everybody is getting my question. The combination of the input for testing purpose I am telling you now. V is there. I am reading. The file is also there. I am reading. V is set to file now. Okay. I am reading the command from the file system, wherein the file system is including or having the values cancel, shut, and invalid commands. Okay. Temp is not included. Without giving the temp, I'm changing the temperature. That is, 5 values are allowed here. He is entering 5 values. Is it possible like that to test the equivalence, to test the software? No. In order to test this particular, I have to add one more value here, that is temp. Temp is missing out over here. So, if the generated equivalence class is having such a combination, then such equivalence classes should be eliminated from total equivalence classes so generated. So if I apply, okay, if I eliminate such things in the boiler control software, totally I'll be ending up with 18 testable equivalence classes. Out of 120, okay, how many are gone? 1 or 2 are infeasible. I cannot generate such equivalence classes. So which all are feasible equivalence classes with respect to boiler control software? I have written here. I'll be arriving at totally 18 equivalence classes which are feasible. Feasible means I can generate such equivalent such input combination for testing purpose. Testing purpose. If you look out over here, okay, these are the combinations. These are the equivalence classes and the test data I have taken here. Okay, test data I have taken here. I'll just take up one equivalence class and I will explain you why it is feasible. Okay, let me take one from this set, E1 to E4. E4 I will take. Okay, what is changing here? Nothing is changing. Okay, GUI. Okay, V is set to GUI. Okay, V variable, environment variable is set to GUI and F value is set to F valid. Okay, and command is temp and the temperature change. Okay, the value that I am entering is valid. That is, I am taking from either -10, -5, 5, 10. Either one of the values I am entering over here. I can generate such a combination. And the test data, if you see here, GUI, okay, and a file, A underscore file represents a valid file name. Okay, and the command that I am giving is temperature change. And the 10 is permissible within the range or within the permissible values. That's why I can test my software by going for this combination. By going for this combination. Let me take one more, E6. GUI, F invalid, temp, T valid. Can I generate such combination? Yes, I can. Okay. Whenever V value is set to GUI, graphical user interface, and no file represents that file, particular file, whatever I am passing is not being present in the file folder system. And the temperature -5. Okay, I can test for this particular combination of input variables. That's why it is feasible in nature. Okay, let me take up one more from this set. Okay, E16, file. Whenever we set to file, I have to enter the commands via command line or via file. Okay, that is F invalid shut NA. Okay, here file invalid means that file should be not existing in the folder system. So no file represents file does not exist. Then the command that I am giving is shut. But why am I passing -5? If I pass anything also, it doesn't affect my testing purpose. It should not. The program should not behave abnormally here by changing the temperature to -5. Okay, because the command here is to shut the operation of the boiler control software. So I can test my software by giving this combination of input variables. So totally at the end, with respect to boiler control software, I'll be generating round about 18 equivalence classes which are feasible. I can test the data, I can test the software by generating the test data by making use of these equivalence classes. I can pick up one value from E1 and test the boiler control software. Pick up one more value from E2 and test the software. So on. Pick up one value from E18 and test the boiler control software. This is the way I can generate the test data from equivalence classes so generated. Okay, I hope everybody is understanding this. Okay, any doubts so far? Any doubts so far here? Only two environment variables are here, V and F. You have to see, you have to have general idea about these things. What exactly V, what exactly is F. Okay, we can assume the value either GUI file where V represents the environment variable which accepts the commands via graphical user interface or by reading it from the command line or from the file. F represents the file name. F represents the file name. So that's why I have written all the description over here. All the description over here. Okay. After that, okay, just I will tell you. Okay, that's the end of this case study. So at the end, you will be generating around about 18 equivalence classes. See, if we ask in the exam, you are supposed to write all the things I have shown here. You have to start with the description of input variables. which are the input variables. After that, clearly specify the steps of equivalence class partitioning, that is identification of the input domain, go for tabular format. Then after that, you have to generate the equivalence classing. Okay. After that, third one, combine the equivalence classes by multidimensional partitioning. So totally 120 equivalence classes I'll be generating. After that, eliminate or discard infeasible equivalence classes and just write all the feasible equivalence classes. That is totally 18 equivalence classes I'll be getting with respect to boiler control software. Okay, you have to write all these things and this will be asked for around about 10 to 15 marks. Okay, in the final exam or in the IA also. Okay, maximum 10 marks for this. Okay, boiler control software system. Okay. Let me just show you one more thing here. Okay, that's about boiler control software. Okay, same thing they are telling you. Okay, V and F, same thing I have defined in the document. Okay, you can refer. I have already given the link for that document also and for this also. Okay, the clear description they have given you here. Same thing I have included there also. The input domain I was telling you. The equivalence classes generated will be the cross product of all the input variables. That's why we were getting around 120 equivalence classes. If you see here 3, 4, 2, 5. Okay, that is from this table only. You need not by heart. 3 for V, 2 for this, 4 for this. Why 5 for temperature CH? Because 4 values are included in T valid and 1 can be T invalid. One value is T invalid. That's why 5 permissible values for MCH. Okay. After that, they are just telling you we'll be coming up with the 18 equivalence classes, but I have taken it from the textbook. What all are those 18 equivalence classes? It's there in the Aditya P. Mathur textbook. Okay. So after this, after studying unidimensional and multidimensional partitioning, I have something called selecting the test data. What do you mean by this? Okay. See, the final goal or the ultimate objective of this equivalence class partitioning was generation of the test data. I have to first partition the input domain. Okay, then I have to get the test data out of those equivalence classes. Pick up one value from each class and test your software rigorously. Okay, so a tester, he just take up the values from the equivalence classes so generated and he will try to test the entire software and he will assume that the program behaves equally similar way or same way for other values which are included in the equivalence class. Okay. Next thing we have is GUI design and the equivalence class. Okay. See here, while designing the equivalence classes for certain programs, okay, we have to give the input via keyboard. Okay, and care must be taken to see that if user enters invalid also. Okay, see, in most of the cases what we observe in the lab is that people will implement only the things which are mentioned in the requirement. They will not implement certain extra things out of the stated of things in the lab. Okay, if I'm telling you to design a software for taking up the input variables which are of the integer data type, then people will just implement the application and they'll try to give the integer values and they'll just implement and they'll keep quiet. But have you tested whether your program behaves properly if I try to enter the double value or float values? Okay, that's what they are telling. Okay, you have to provide a means wherein you can test your program, okay, for certain invalid data, invalid input. Okay, testing is all about that. Okay, software testing is all about finding out the errors, discovery of the errors with respect to the program against invalid data. Okay, why they are talking about GUI design here? Okay, they have explained with one diagram here. You can just observe. Okay, these are three ways of designing a GUI. How the designer, how the developer has taken care to test the software via GUI design. If you just observe the first one, okay, he has designed the application and this represents the input domain, the circle. It represents the input domain. Okay. He is having totally three equivalence classes, that is one, and here valid values are there, and here invalid values are there. Okay, let me just annotate here. Okay, one represent the correct values, and two are representing the invalid values. Okay, so what he can do is he can just pick up the values from all these three subdomains as we were doing, and he can test the software. Okay, in the second design, okay, where the GUI is being designed in such a way that you are just entering the correct values only. There is no chance of having or making the user to enter invalid. You are not giving chance for the user to enter invalid only. He has designed in such a way that graphical user interface, okay, in such a way that user is nowhere given a chance to enter the incorrect values. That's why he has not, in the input domain, they are not considering any invalid values or incorrect values. Are you getting the point, everybody? And there is a third design thing wherein he is taking care of the subset of the invalid values only. Okay, not all the invalid values, but only certain permissible values for invalid data is being considered, and he is checking out for the correctness of the program or correctness of the software. Okay, yeah, just explaining you the GUI design and the software testing. Okay, you can design in these ways. Okay, you can design an application and you can test the software against valid and invalid values. That is the first case. And another case is you have a core application where you have designed the GUI from which the user is entering the values, and he has designed so systematically the graphical user interface in such a way that the user has to enter valid values only. Okay, he is nowhere giving chance for the user to enter invalid values. There is no chance. Okay, in such a case, how can you test for invalid values? There is no chance for you to test for incorrect values. Okay, so that's why they are representing here. Only correct values are allowed to the core application via GUI. GUI design is such an important task. Okay, and the third one is that core application is present and GUI is made use of to enter the valid as well as certain subset of invalid values also. That is to represent incorrect values. That's about the relationship between the GUI design and how can you test, how can you make the equivalence classes. Okay, this is not so important, but you have to know about this thing. Okay, what is important under this title is the numericals in, whenever I go for the uni and multidimensional partitioning and boiler control software, that is most important with respect to the discussion so far. Okay, so in the next session I'll be beginning with the boundary value analysis. That is in the tomorrow's class from 6 to 7 I'll be beginning with boundary value analysis. Boundary value analysis. Any doubts?